The proportion of protected land in mainland France is surprisingly low. 8 parcs nationaux fully protect just 0.8% of the country. But the government is making a push to get 30% of its land territory under special environmental protection. With incredible diversity across the parks, there are superb opportunities for wildlife watching, skiing, mountain biking, swimming and hiking. From the lovely coves of Calanques to the diverse fauna of Mercantour and the park closest to Paris, here are the best things to do in the national parks of mainland France. Parc National des Calanques. The Calanques, coves, of the coast surrounding Marseille became France's 10th national park in 2012, preserving their astonishing beauty and harboring an extraordinary wealth of flora and fauna, including 900 plant species, Bonelli's eagle, Europe's largest lizard, the 60cm-eyed lizard, and its longest snake, the 2M Montpellier snake. There are 12 miles, 20 kilometers, of spectacular promontories, sheer cliffs, hidden coves and beaches along the coast. The park brings together imposing uplands, the Massif de Calanques, which reaches 1,854 feet, 565 meters at Mont Puget, coves plunging narrowly to almost inaccessible fishing towns and swimming spots, and endless miles of fantastic, scenic hiking. The best way to reach the Calanques is by sea, either by boat or by hiring a kayak from Marseille or Cassis. Various local operators organize sea kayaking tours and paddleboarding. The region is hugely popular in summer, visited by boats and hikers who travel hours to the secluded fishing villages. Parc National des Cevennes. A range of rumpled hills, forested ravines and quiet hamlets, Parc National des Cevennes represents one of the loveliest landscapes of the Languedoc. Dry, hot and extensively wooded, mostly by beech, oak and sweet chestnut, the Cevennes has more in common with Mediterranean lands than the Auvergne to its north. It's a hotspot of biodiversity, with 2,300 plant species and 2,410 animal species so far recorded. Encouragingly, many animals that had previously disappeared from the area due to hunting or habitat loss, including vultures, beavers, otters, roe deer and golden eagles, have been reintroduced, either by conservationists or as a result of natural migration. In recognition of its natural assets, it's been a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve since 1985, and since 2011, has formed part of one of France's largest UNESCO World Heritage Sites, Cassis et Cevennes. Hiking is the main activity in the Cevennes. There are more than 600 kilometers of trails to tackle. The GR70, also known as the Chemin de Stevenson, is the most celebrated, but sections of the GR4, 6, 7, 70 and 700 also traverse the park. The IGN Top 25 map series covers most of the national park area. Parc National des Écrins. France's second-largest national park, Parc National des Écrins was created by glacial action and the thrashing Durance and Drac rivers, which carved out this 354 square mile, 918 square kilometers, expanse of mountains and moraines. Over 100 peaks, topping out at the Barre des Écrins, 13,458 feet, 4,102 meters, rise above more than 40 glaciers, beech forests, waterfalls and flower-sprinkled alpine meadows. Stomping ground for hikers and mountaineers between mid-June and mid-September, the park has roughly 435 miles, 700 kilometers, of trails, some following footpaths used by shepherds and smugglers for centuries. There are popular, and unchallenging, half-day hikes as well as more difficult and longer trails to choose from. Approaching from the north of the park, Bourg d'Ozens is a good jumping-off point. Following the D530 here to Veniche and Bérard will put you in the heart of the action. Briançon and Gap, respectively, east and south of the park, are also suitable places to gather info and picnic supplies before lacing up your hiking boots and strapping on your crampons. Spring and summer are the best times to visit. Less of the park is accessible in winter, but visitors can ply a number of walking, snowshoeing or cross-country skiing trails. Experience is recommended, as is a guide. Parc National des Forêts. Mainland France's national parks were in the mountains or by the sea until Parc National des Forêts was established in 2019. Less remote than other national parks, this huge area of unspoiled forests, marshes, rivers and traditional villages covers parts of the Burgundy and Champagne regions and is only a 3-hour drive from Paris. This makes it a possible day trip destination for Parisians or an ideal weekend break from the capital. Here, visitors get to experience the natural heritage alongside the evolution of life in the area. There are hundreds of miles of hiking, cycling and riding trails, including a section of the Via Francigena road to Rome. Local wildlife includes foxes, hedgehogs and other forest creatures, as well as wild boar and deer. Harder to spot is the rare black stork and the elusive wild cat. The 193 square miles, 500 square kilometers of forests are mainly made up of hardwoods such as beech and oak, with a forest floor that is rich in biodiversity, including many different types of moss and lichen, as well as beautiful rare flora such as the Venus slipper orchid. Parc National du Mercantour, created in 1979, the vast Parc National du Mercantour covers 7 alpine valleys and a total area of 264 square miles, 685 square kilometers. Pocked by deep valleys and spiked with jagged peaks, and dominated by the Cime du Gélès, 10,311 feet, 3,143 meters, the third highest mountain in the Alps Maritimes, it's a haven for outdoor activities, skiing and snowboarding in winter, hiking and biking in summer, and pretty much everything else besides. For an arresting insight into the forces of nature, a hike up to the massive, fractured stone blocks of Les Gres d'Anneau above the town of Anneau is well worth the effort. The national park is also celebrated for its wildlife, including rare species such as the ibex, the mouflon, the golden eagle and wild grey wolves, which you can see at the excellent Alpha Wolf Park near the mountain village of Saint-Martin-Vésubie. The park is currently at the forefront of the debate over the return of the wild wolf to France. After more than a century of absence, wolf numbers are increasing, a cause of celebration for conservationists, and of deep anger for local farmers. Parc National de Port-Cros. Parc National de Port-Cros is France's smallest national park, created in 1963 to protect the 2.7 square mile, 7 sq.km, island of Port-Cros and a 5 sq.mile, 13 sq.km, zone of water around it. Until the end of the 19th century, the islanders' vineyards and olive groves ensured their self-sufficiency. Today, high-season tourism is their sustenance. If on a day trip, it's a good idea to bring picnic supplies and drinking water. The few port bistros open April to October, but there's nothing elsewhere but beauty, and a picnic in a secluded calanque can be truly magical. Don't forget the portion of the park that lies offshore. There's some fantastic diving, snorkeling and boating to be had. Walkers and birdwatchers must remain on the marked trails. Fishing, fires, camping, dogs, motorized vehicles and bicycles are not allowed, nor is smoking outside the village. Parc National des Pyrénées, stretching for 100 kilometers across the Franco-Spanish border, the Parc National des Pyrénées conceals some of the last pockets of true wilderness left in France. The web of valleys and glaciated peaks here are home to an incredible array of rare flora and fauna, including brown bears, wolves, griffon vultures, lammergeier, and the bizarre and totally endemic desman. Think of a cross between a mouse, hedgehog, and an anteater, and then throw it in a glacial stream like an otter. But the park is not just a paradise for wildlife. The scenery here is both intimate and grand, and the whole park is laced with hiking trails that give access to some of Europe's most gorgeous mountain scenery. Within the park's boundaries are the highest peaks in southwest France, including the loftiest of all, Vignemale, 10,820 feet, 3,298 meters. While the Pyrenees' best skiing is across the border at the Spanish resorts, around Béccara-Barré and Andorra, the French-side resorts still offer good skiing, snowboarding, ski nordique, cross-country skiing, and raquette à neige, snowshoeing. Once the last snows melt around mid-April to May, many of the Pyrenean ski stations open up their trails to VTTs, vélos tout terrains, mountain bikes. The Gave de Spee, Gave de l'Aran and Gave d'Ossau offer excellent white water rafting. Parc National de la Vanoise, rippling between the Tarentaise and Maurienne valleys, as Parc National de la Vanoise. Designated France's first national park in 1963, the 205 sq.mile, 529 sq.km park has more than 100 peaks surpassing 9,800 feet, 3,000 meters. At its highest points, this is a desolate landscape of glaciers and lichen-spattered rock. At lower altitudes, alpine meadows and spruce forests flourish. Marmots, Chamois and France's largest colony of bocayans, alpine ibexes, around 1,800 graze freely beneath the larch trees while 125 bird species wheel overhead. With 250 miles, 400 kilometers, of marked trails, the park is hiker's heaven with a snow-capped majesty that will leave you awestruck. However, heavy snow can make walking trails inaccessible for all but a fraction of the year, usually mid-June to late September. Along the southern edge of the park, west to east, Termignon-la-Vanoise, Lans-le-Bourg-Mont-Cenis and Bonneville-sur-Arc are good bases. In winter, the seasonal closure of the Col de l'Isère blocks direct road access from Val d'Isère, thereby protecting the sizable Val Cenis ski area from crowds.